And somebody among OSEP staff watch the lobby and let people in as they come in. I cannot multitask. Thank you. Okay, there's 57 people in the room, including our OSEP colleagues. Welcome to the fiscal year 2025 cohort meeting for the Personnel Development Program. We call it PDP in short. My name is Sun Young An, and I am one of the PDP program area leads. I lead 3 to 5K, and I'm happy you joined us today. Despite the icy weather conditions in many parts of the country, I hope you all are safe and well. I'm here today with my colleague, Celia Rosenquist. Celia, would you like to say hello?
No, like just
Good afternoon, everyone.
Thanks, Celia. We'll cover key guidance for grantees and provide resources to support your work today. But before we start, if you're not speaking, please mute yourself. We're recording today's meeting, so we would want to prevent external noises as much as possible. We also want to provide a caution based on the current weather conditions in the DMV area, which is DC, Virginia, Maryland. Many people are working remotely today, and due to the bandwidth issues and the weather conditions, our connections can get intermittent or even disconnected. We hope that will not happen today during the webinar, but in case of disconnection, we hope that nobody panics, and we will follow up via a recorded webinar. Okay, please mute yourself if you're not speaking. Thank you. We also hope that you have saved all the resource documents attached to the meeting invitation onto your computer, so you can use them as references should you need them later. So with that, I'm going to go on and talk about the purposes. The purposes of today's webinar is to welcome the FY25 awardees under programs 3 to 5D, 3 to 5K, and 3 to 5M. Welcome, everyone. I know this is our first meeting together. And please type your name and institution in the chat and greet your peers and OSEP colleagues. So take a moment to say hello to each other. And I'll also type in my name and my email address in case anybody will need it later. Thank you, everyone. It's good to see everybody's name. Marcus, Elizabeth, Jenna, Amy, thank you. All right. We'll provide guidance on completing the annual performance report. Everybody should have received the DCL, Dear Colleague letter, by now. And we'll also talk about how to develop performance measures, and we'll share resources to help you create quality measures. There are specific things we look for in your performance measures. So we'll talk about that. And if you have any questions, we're going to ask you to save your questions after we go over all the slides. I'll go first, and then Celia will talk about performance measures. And then we also have a guest speaker from one of our technical assistance center. I know we allotted an hour and 30 minutes for this meeting, so we'll have plenty of time to address your questions at the end. So please save your questions. And when you ask questions, you may use your virtual hand or type in your questions in the chat when we ask you to ask questions. And like I said, this webinar is being recorded, so turn off your video if you prefer that your image is not recorded. And also, please keep the external noise minimal by muting yourself when you're not speaking. Thank you in advance. Okay. Now, let me give you a quick overview of the FY25 PDP training grants. So we ran 3 competitions in 2025, and we were able to award 5 projects for preparing special education and early intervention administrators, which is 3 to 5D. And among them, many are partnership projects across different universities. So congratulations to 3 to 5D grantees. And under 3 to 5K, which I led, we awarded 33 interdisciplinary projects that prepare personnel serving children with disabilities with high intensity needs. So 3 to 5K had those high intensity needs focus, and we were able to award 33 projects. And under 3 to 5M, we were able to award 27 projects and minority serving institutions, including historically Black colleges and universities and tribally controlled colleges and universities. So congratulations to all of you. And all these projects are 5-year projects designed to ensure scholars have the knowledge and skills to serve children with disabilities or prepare others to serve children with disabilities. Okay, so now I'll talk about the APR. The purpose, the APR provides an annual report on your project's performance and financial management. And it's required for all active grants annually, including those in no-cost extension. And for those that are in no-cost extension, the reporting time may vary depending on when the project ends. However, that doesn't apply to this group. So you will all have to submit an APR for your new training grant this year. And OSEP uses, how we use the APR is that we look at the report to determine the project officers. So your project officer will read your APR to determine if you have made substantial progress and recommend for continued funding or extensions. And for the determination of substantial progress, we pay attention not only to your accomplishments and the narratives and project performance measures, but also your financial management, the spending. So we'll talk about the spending must also support the activities that are described in the APR, and we will talk about the budget reporting more in detail later in this webinar. And these are the key components of the APR. So the APR includes the cover sheet, and it must be signed by a certifying official in your institution, not just a project director. So remember that. And then it must also have the executive summary and the project status chart, section A, and the budget information, which is section B, and additional information, which is section C. And the due date this year for APR submission is May 1st. That's a Friday, I believe, at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And before I talk about the submission in G5, I want to bring your attention to some important resource materials that are attached to this meeting invitation. First, you will find a copy of the Dear Colleague letter. So Dear Colleague letter contains instructions for filling out each required section of the APR, and also links to required templates. So you must read DCL, Dear Colleague letter, and follow instructions in DCL APR. So that must be your first step. The second resource document is how to upload attachments to APR. And one of our OSEP colleagues, Rebecca Sheffield, with support from her grantee, she developed the step-by-step guidance, and many people find the instructions really helpful, especially if you're not familiar with G5. And as a project officer, for me, I found the G5 step-by-step guide really helpful because we have, as project officers, we have different view than grantees. So it is really helpful to see what it looks like on the grantee side and what kind of technical assistance we can provide. So please take a look at that guidance document as well. And you will also find a cover sheet example in PDF format and a status chart example in PDF too. So those documents include comment bubbles for instructions, and they are pretty straightforward. And lastly, you have the sample project measures aligned with program measures document. And the purpose of that document is to provide you with examples of quality project measures that are measurable and aligned with each required program measure. So, if you applied for the grant, in the priority notice, there are 7 or 8 required program measures, and you agree to report on those program measures. So there are examples of aligned project measures. So you will find those examples helpful. And I know Celia will talk about program measure versus project measures later during the webinar. But in the next couple of slides, I will briefly go over both the technical process of accessing your APR documents in G5 and also how to fill out some of the required forms. So to start your APR in G5, if you're new, you need to log in. You should have set up an account and log in and select package submission under the grant maintenance menu. So that's on your end, on grantees, and that's what it should look like on the screen. Choose your award number. If you have multiple awards funded by OSEP, you'll probably have multiple ones, but choose the right award number, the training grant, the training project we're talking about today, and click continue. Okay. And if you are starting fresh, look under current report and click initiate. And if you are coming back to your APR in G5 to continue, find your report under My Performance Reports and click Edit Report instead of Initiate because you're continuing. So that's how you access your APR in G5. And then now I will go over the required cover sheet instructions. You can also view the example cover sheet PDF document in the meeting invite attachments, but I'm not going to open that document on my screen. But if you want to follow by looking at the example, please feel free to do so. Okay. When you open the cover sheet example or the form template, on top, you'll find general information. So under general information, you'll fill out your unique institution and grant information, your project name, your institution name, contact information. And then next is reporting period. So I'll talk about that a little bit. That's question 7. And for year 1 projects, which are your 25 projects, reporting period is from the start date, your project start date, which is, I believe, October 1st for most people of 2025, through February 28th of 2026. So it's only for several months, few months. So that's your first year's reporting period. And after the first year, this applies like starting next year. The reporting period is from March 1st of the previous year to the last day of February of the reporting year, except for the final performance year. So when reporting budget expenditures on the cover sheet, which is question 8, describe funds expended during the year. And through your most current calculations as of the time you're completing the report. So if you are, submitting the report in April, you'll have put in the most current number for the expenditures on cover sheet. Then I'll continue. The next portion of the cover sheet is the indirect cost information. So please be sure to fill out the indirect cost information correctly. So that's 9A, and check yes, and indicating you're claiming indirect costs. And for 9B, report your IHEs, your institution's typical rate. It may be, 42% or 65%. So report your institution's actual indirect cost rate. And you will also need to check 9E because your awarded training grant is required to use the restricted 8% rate. So for the project, you can only apply 8%. So you're checking both. And the reason is that by doing that, you're confirming that you're using the lowest indirect cost rate for the grant. So that's a little bit of rationale behind that. Okay. And then I'll continue to questions 10 and 11. So those are related to human subject certification and data privacy, and they're not applicable to training grants. So you will check NA for 10 and 11. And for question 12, you do not have the complete data yet. It's about the performance data, as your project is in year 1. So you will check no for 12A, then indicate the due date of your project's final report, which is 90 days after project end date. So I don't know if you're awarded 25, it's going to be, end of December of 2030. And then make sure that the cover sheet is signed by your authorized representative. You can include digital or scanned signature. And always, please, when you do that, always plan ahead because G5 may have scheduled maintenance outages, and there could be closings due to inclement weather. You never know. So, or there could be personnel changes in your Office of Sponsored Research or Administrative Department. So our advice is for you is to please make sure that you build in enough time for getting all the required forms from the required parties and get the required signatures. Okay. And in G5, you will have to attach your executive summary to the cover sheet. So please see the how to upload attachments to G5 instruction document for reference. That should be really helpful. And please prepare your executive summary in Word first, then save it as a PDF to be uploaded in G5. We cannot emphasize executive summary is not the same as your project abstract. So do not copy and paste your project abstract, and you should be able to prepare a 1 to 2 page narrative summarizing your accomplishments during the reporting period from October of 2025 until the end of February this year, and include progress towards your goals and objectives, and descriptions of your program development and recruitment activities, and any contributions to practice or policy, if there's any. It could be your presentation at a conference and multiple conferences, or any publication. If you could include those type of information too. Okay. So you attach executive summary to cover sheet, and again, in G5, enter all requested information in G5 fields after you click on cover sheet, so it matches with the PDF example. Then upload the executive summary in the designated field. You can see on the screen at the bottom of the screen, there is a place where you can upload your executive summary in PDF format. And then to complete the cover sheet in G5, save and return to the package, then select Add 524, and view form to print or download a completed form for signature, then you will need to upload a signed PDF copy under project narrative signed cover sheet. So these were the step-by-step instructions. And I want to go back to executive summary and provide, kind of explain more what kind of content we request under executive summary. So I have already talked about this in a previous slide, but I also want to emphasize that you really should follow the instructions in the Dear Colleague letter. We make changes to DCL every year, and what we request under executive summary are different from what we request last year. So please read, and there are bullets under executive summaries, what kind of information we are requesting. So please read that and follow those instructions. And this year, we're specifically asking for the following information. Strategies used to attract and retain scholars, your approaches used to build scholars' competencies during preparation. You may describe how you're developing and designing courses for scholars, how you are developing and designing group assignments or coordinated field experiences, and research and leadership opportunities for scholars. Also, describe to evaluate your project out, including scholars' knowledge and skills that improve outcomes for children with disabilities, such as literacy and math outcomes, if applicable. Lastly, strategies to customize scholar support based on scholars' individual needs. So there was I think a paragraph in the NIA, the priority, how we were thinking about scholar support for training grants. So this was one of, some of the key contents to scholar support. So we want to really know how you're customizing scholar support based on scholar needs. Okay. So here is a simple executive summary that can be helpful to use as a reference. It's not perfect. There's no perfect example, but I kind of wanted to share this example. So I want you all to take a moment to read this, and please tell us what you noticed in the sample. You may type in the chat to structure your executive summary. So it's actually 2 slides. I'm gonna leave this slide for a moment, and I'll also show the next slide. Please show your thumbs up if you want me to go to the next slide to continue the executive summary example. Thank you. Everybody's listening. Great, thank you. So that's the next page. Okay. Now, if you're ready, please type in the chat, like, what did you notice in this example and how you might want to structure your executive summary? What kind of information would you like to include? Thanks, Anne. Anne says they clearly identify the progress they have made towards their goals and types of scholars recruited. Yes, thank you. Yeah, Ellen says they included specifics about the flyer, its circulation and strategies included. Yeah, they definitely explain their recruitment activities, right? Where they are with the flyer and recruitment and how they are supporting scholar recruitment during the first year. What else? Just wait to hear maybe a couple more. Thanks, Tony. They were specific about the completed courses of the scholars. Yes, they do explain about how they are planning to support scholar competencies by talking about their courses, right? LS's exact numbers of recruits. Yes, these are all great observations. Thank you so much. And I, as project officer, what I really like about this structure is that they kind of summarize their executive summary by their project objective. So you can see clearly what their goal 1 was, what their goal 2 was, and where they are with each goal. So it's really easy for us to determine their substantial progress. So that's really helpful. Thank you all for participating in this activity. Yes, Myri, they included contributions such as publications, conferences, and research. Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, so the next section, this is Celia, for Celia, right? I'll turn it over to you, Celia.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sun Young. Next, we're going to go over Section A of the APR. And as Sun Young noted at the beginning of the webinar, there are multiple APR resources that have been shared with you, and there is a APR status chart resource available for you to refer back to assist you with this section. Next slide. Section A of the APR is where you, the grantee, reports on progress in meeting the project's objectives. Your performance measures are how you, as the grantee, are measuring progress toward meeting your project objectives. And under each objective is typically one or more PDP program measure, which we'll talk about in the next couple of slides. And you will also include multiple specific project performance measures under each objective. You will be providing updated data on an annual basis. And I'll note for this first APR, given that your projects, your grants are just beginning, we realize that you are not going to be able to report on data for most of your measures, but we still want you to submit a draft of the measures that you'll be using for the project so we can provide feedback, and then you'll know what your measures are and be able then moving forward, just be able to update those on an annual basis. Grantees also are strongly encouraged to work with your project officer on the project measures you're going to be including in your APR. So please share a draft early with your project officer for feedback and so that you can make any corrections as needed before the APR deadline. Next slide. So as stated in the notice that you responded to and submitted a grant application, the overall goal of the PDP program area is to increase the number of personnel and ensure the quality and preparation for personnel serving children with disabilities. Your project objectives are what your grant project has proposed to accomplish the goals of OSEP's PDP program. And your project measures are how you are making progress toward meeting those objectives. Next slide. So there are two types of measures that you're going to be including as part of your APR. The first, one type of measure you'll be including is the GEPRA program performance measures. And the program measures are established for reporting to Congress under the Government Performance and Results Modernization Act, or GEPRA. The performance measures are included in the Dear Colleague letter, and they are also included in the APR resource program measures, example of aligned project measures. The other type of measures, which we have already referenced, are the project-specific measures. So those are measures specific to your grant that you will be using to demonstrate progress being made toward meeting your project objectives. Next slide. The PDP program has 7 performance measures and 1 pilot measure. So how should you, as a grantee, address OSEP's program measure? Grantees should propose a project performance measure that addresses each of these program measures reported for the 325 PDP program. The focus of the project measure must be clearly aligned with the program measure. And we're going to be going over these some examples in the next couple of slides. Once again, this slide includes the 7 program performance measures and the pilot measure that you should be including as part of your APR. Next slide. So program performance measure 1, the percentage of special education personnel development projects that incorporate evidence-based practices in their curricula. An example of an aligned project performance measure is by the end of year 1 of the project, 100% of core courses will incorporate scientifically or evidence-based practices in the curriculum as evaluated by 3 faculty reviewers using a rubric developed by the project. So as you can see, looking at the PDP program performance measure, there is a specific aligned project performance measure that you will be reporting data on. Next slide. Another program performance measure is the percentage of scholars completing preparation programs who are knowledgeable and skilled in evidence-based practices for children with disabilities. And an example of an aligned project performance measure with that program measure is by year 5 of the project, 100% of scholars will demonstrate knowledge and skills and research competencies at an acceptable level or higher using a rubric designed by the project. Grantees will likely have multiple ways that they are measuring scholars' knowledge and skills. And as you will need to report this information to PDP DCS, ensure that one or more of your measures that you are including are measuring scholars' knowledge and skills or competencies, and a measure that you'll be able to report on to meet PDP DCS requirements. As has already been stated, there's a resource on examples of PDP measures that align with the PDP program measures. So examples of PDP project performance measures that potentially will align with the PDP program measures. So please refer to that resource for more examples, and you are free to use those measures. You can modify them as needed for your project, or you're also free to propose alternatives. However, the key thing to remember for these program performance measures that you need to include as part of your APR is that the project performance measure must align with it. Next slide. When you are developing your project performance measures. Ensure that the measures have a level of specificity needed to outline the important details about changes that are expected to occur as a result of the project implementation. So use action-oriented terms such as increase, decrease, or improve, what is being measured, who will achieve the changes, how much change is expected, when will the change take place, and how it will be measured. In the APR resources, as well as in this webinar, you'll notice that the project measures that we're sharing, examples that we're sharing with you, have a certain structure, and you should use that structure when you are developing your project measures if they're not already in that format. So we'll go over some more examples in the next slide. Next slide.
Oh, I don't know what happened. I lost my PowerPoint. Is somebody sharing their screen? All right, let me try again.
Oh.
Yes, somebody was sharing their screen.
Okay.
It's okay. All right, let me.
I think I saw South
back
Carolina.
to-
South Carolina wanted to share some project measures. So
My apologies. I do apologize. I hit the wrong button.
that's quite all right.
No worries.
I think we're on slide 28.
28. Thank you. Okay. 28. There we are.
Okay. Yeah. So here are some additional examples of project performance measures. And once again, these are shared just for your reference. And as you're thinking through your project performance measures and going back to your evaluation plan and looking at what you included as part of your application, we recognize that we don't want you to include every single outcome that you are measuring within that section A of the APR. What we are asking you to do is select a subset of project performance measures that are going to be able to demonstrate that you are meeting progress towards your project goals and objectives. And just a reminder to please make sure you're on mute. So when you're deciding what project performance measures to include in section A, we recommend that you include primarily measures that are measuring project and scholar outcomes, including scholars' knowledge and skills, and just not listing simply activities. And by activities, we mean listing whether something took place or not. So concentrate more on developing and including project performance measures that are looking at and measuring project and scholar outcomes. So there are several examples provided on this slide. And once again, pay attention to the structure. It provides the time frame of when that specific outcome is being measured, how much change is expected, how it's being measured, what's changing. And so these are all examples to give you an idea of how you might need to modify some of your project measures to include as part of that section A. So once again, we highly encourage you, in addition to looking over the webinar slides and as well as looking at the APR resources that have been shared with you, to work with your project officer, provide an early draft of the measures you want to be using for your entire project period, get feedback on those from your project officer, and make any revisions that are needed. And then hopefully by the time you are ready to submit your APR, your project measures will be all set and ready to go, and you won't have to make any future revisions to those. Next slide. So in addition to that section A, and including the program and project performance measures, that chart, you will also be asked to include information within the explanation of progress section. And it's in the explanation of progress section where you will expand and provide additional information related to the measures that you have provided in the chart, including additional details such as sample size, or if a target hasn't been met, the reason why it hasn't been met, or what action was taken if a target wasn't met, then what actions the project, how they looked at the data, and what changes you all are going to do in order to move forward to ensure that you meet the target at a later point in time. Additional examples are of what to include are provided on the APR resources that were shared with you. Next slide. So within G5 and completing the status chart, you will add the number, add as many performance measures as you need under each objective. And you will select add another project objective to add more objectives. And be aware that there are character limits and required fields as you're filling out the section. In general, a rule of thumb that you're like, how many objectives should I include? How many project measures? So in general, think about 3 to 5 project objectives. And underneath each of those project objectives, you're going to have one or more of the program, the PDP program performance measures. So one of those 8 required measures, an aligned project measure with those program measures, and then in addition, 2 or 3 additional project-specific measures that are demonstrating progress toward meeting your project objectives. Next slide. I think we're on slide 31. Let me see. Oh, all right. All right. Completing the status chart in G5 continued. What you will want to make sure that you do, as with anything within G5, oops, it looks like the connection got interrupted. Let me see. Oh, let's see if I can. Let me see if I can hopefully call up the screen. Are people seeing the slide?
Yes.
No,
Oh,
I can't. No.
all right. I'm hearing some people can see it and other people can't. Oh, okay. Let me try again. I'm sorry. It's a connection. I'm not sure if I can share my screen. Sun Young just emailed me that her connection got interrupted. Okay. Let's try this again. Yes. Okay. So now it's not allowing me to advance slides. No. I'm sorry, everyone. Technology is not cooperating today. All right. All right.
Hey, Celia.
Yes.
It's Tia. Are these slides on the SharePoint? I could try to share my screen so you can proceed.
I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty hearing you.
Okay. I was going to try to share my screen so you can
Oh.
proceed, but I need to figure out where to grab the slides from. Are they on SharePoint?
Yes, if that would let me see.
Okay, I'm looking for them now.
Okay. I don't know why I'm having such difficulty with or why it's not proceeding, but let me see.
Would it be
Is it
helpful for you to
under-
share the slides with us and we can go along as you do?
They're moving now.
Okay. It seemed, are people seeing the slides? Because when I shared this before, some people saw them, but a couple of other individuals said they weren't able to see them.
Celia, they are on slide. They're moving now, yes.
Okay. All right. Let's see where we left off. I think it was completing the status chart in G5. And slide 31, yes. And so whenever working within G5, just recommend it to save frequently. If you time out or if you step away and don't get back to the computer before G5 times out, you may lose everything that you entered. So just make sure that you save frequently. And then if you are unable to save, to scroll up and there are error messages about what might be the issue. And G5, of course, always has their help desk that you can also call for assistance if it's not clear what next steps you need to do. All right, the budget information. You'll want to describe in section B of the APR any significant changes to your budget resulting in a modification of project activities. Realizing this is your first report, that there probably aren't going to be any significant budget changes, but if there is one, please contact your project officer. But this is also just information as you continue with your project that you'll need it going forward. So whenever you have significant project changes, it's always good to touch base with your project officer about those changes, as well as making note of those and reporting those as part of your annual performance report. You'll want to describe any changes to your budget that may have affected the ability to achieve your approved project activities and project objectives. And you'll also be expected, if you have any unexpended funds at the end of the current project period, you'll need to provide an explanation why and provide an estimate and indicate how you plan to use the unexpended funds or carryover in the next project period. Now, this section is very important, and I will say, just having and many of the project officers that have worked with grantees over the years, oftentimes you do have carryover, and that is sometimes anticipated due to when the project was funded and just due to some delays in project activities. But what you'll need to do is make sure you are including a detailed accounting of why there is carryover and how you expect to spend those unexpended funds in the next project period. And then also describe any anticipated changes in your budget for the next budget period as well. We recommend, as part of your section B and explaining any carryover, that you use this budget table. The budget table is very similar to how you constructed your budget as part of your grant application. And so you are essentially, what we're asking you to do is essentially each year, and you would build on this each year of the project, is provide an update on where you are at in terms of available funds for each of these budget categories, how much is expended, and then how much at the time of your report, how much you expect to be expended by the end of the budget year. And then provide an example of the carryover, or provide the amount of the carryover in each of the budget categories you're anticipating into the next budget year. I recommend that you share this example with your budget person or whoever is going to be helping you with your grant budget and monitoring that, and having them work with you to ensure that you will have this information as part of your annual performance report. You'll also note that at the very bottom, to help us understand your budget, since these projects, most of the funding goes towards supporting scholars, we ask as part of the budget section that you provide an update on where you are at in terms of the number of scholars that were planned to be supported in each of the years, as well as the number of scholars that were receiving support during each of the budget years. And this information is helpful for us in understanding if there are unexpended funds and how you expect to use them moving forward. Next slide. Oh, sorry. I'm used to Sung Young assisting. So fiscal responsibility. The department expects annual grant funds to be expended within each 12-month period. Carryover funds, as I indicated, pay attention to that, provide detailed information, and its staff will be reviewing that information carefully. If there are excessive carryover funds or large available balances, that is going to require more detailed information and a very clear plan about how that large available balance is going to be used in the remaining grant period or periods. So that will require an additional level of documentation if there's a large available balance. One of the things that is key, I think, just kind of as lessons learned over the years, is first of all, make sure you connect with your budget person early. You understand how the budget's going to work at the institution in terms of drawdowns and what you need to know. Meet with them on a regular basis to ensure that your budget appears to be on track. And if it's not on track, that you understand why it's not on track. There could be multiple reasons. Also, as a project director, as well as other key personnel that are supporting these grants, one of the key things to keep in mind over the duration, this 5-year duration, you provided projections, but there could be quite a few changes in your budget that you want to be aware of and make adjustments for as early as possible. So, for example, there may be changes in personnel that you, of course, could not anticipate when you submitted your proposal, but now need to be taken into an account in kind of a rebudgeting. There could be differences or changes in the number of scholars that are enrolled. You could end up proposing to recruit new scholars, so you're going to have to make adjustments or updates to your budget to ensure that those new scholars, the support funds, are reflected in an updated budget. You may have budgeted for tuition increases that end up not taking place, in which case you may end up with quite a bit of additional grant funds that are available that you have some flexibility around. And as time permits, we of course support enrolling and supporting additional scholars. So making sure that you are carefully reviewing your budget, what you had built into your projections, continue to be on track. And then if they're not on track, if you're underspending in certain categories, you're making those adjustments early on to ensure you don't end up with a large available balance. And as always, if you do make any budget changes, do consult with your project officer to see if any discussion is needed. So this slide provides an example of some of the detailed information that's helpful to include as part of your Section B and understanding grant funds. One is the number of scholars proposed in the application, where you are at in terms of enrolling scholars, and then what the balance is in G5. Additional details of how money was spent, how much money is anticipated to be spent during the remainder of the project period, and then the amount of carryover, and then how the carryover will be used in the subsequent project period. Okay, in section C, please refer to the grant instructions of what information to include as part of section C. In addition, and this is so we have the information all in one place, in the Dear Colleague letter, it has also asked that in section C, please include the following information: the number of cohorts in the grant, the number of scholars expected per cohort, the total number of scholars expected to be trained over the entire grant period, number of scholars currently enrolled, number of scholars admitted for summer and fall of 2026, and number of scholars that are completed or will complete by the end of the summer 2026. And being that your projects are new, it is highly likely that scholars will not be, you will not have any scholars completing at the end of 2026, but on the off chance that there is, we mentioned that. Please also, if you have project personnel that are, you as a project director are also assisting with the APR and either collecting the information or helping you fill out the information for the APR, please make sure to share the Dear Colleague letter as well as the additional APR resources with those individuals so they are aware of what is being asked for as you complete it. This slide is, I'll pause for a second. Sun Young, were you able to join back?
I am. Thanks, Celia. My
Hi.
connection got interrupted, but I was able to come back, thankfully.
Okay.
So this page, we listed some links to some helpful OSEP resources. Many of them are developed by our technical assistance centers and the OSEP performance measurement information and resources. You will find a lot of SIP resources. And we understand, Celia and I both understand, especially if this is your first PDP training project, awarded project, it's never, you listen to the webinar, you understand everything, right? So that's why we cannot emphasize enough that you need to communicate with your project and get feedback and use all the resources we provide. But there are some resources about logic model, how you can start developing your performance measures from your logic model and how they relate to PDP program measures. And the second one from the bottom one, the fourth resource is a webinar on financial management. So please feel free to share the link with your finance folks in your institution. And the last one is our Dream Center. So I know we have a representative from Dream Center and they can talk more about their own resources. Maria, are you here?
Yes, I'm here, and so is our project director, Dr. Liz Kramer. We're here.
Oh, great. Welcome, everyone. The next slide is the Dream Center slide. So I'll turn it over to you guys, and you can tell us what you can offer to our grantees.
Thank you.
Okay, so as Maria mentioned, I'm Liz Kramer. I'm the director of the Dream Center. We are a technical assistance center funded by OSEP, and DREAM is an acronym. It stands for Delivering Resources, Education, Access, and Mentorship. And we're just going to share briefly with you today, Maria and I, a little bit about who we are, what we do, particularly as it stands for resources that might help you with your APR reports. The next slide, please. So the Dream Center is a collaboration. I'm from Florida International University, but we also have partners with Bowie State University and United Tribes Technical College. We were funded in October of 2024 as a 5-year technical assistance center to help support grantees or hopeful grantees in the areas early intervention, early childhood special education and related services around enhancing program quality, expanding their access to grants, and fostering collaboration across universities. So the way we do this is that we offer support at front end and back end. So you all have received a grant. Congratulations. You all apparently submitted a well-written grant proposal and were funded. So for you all, we're here to help support you in managing that grant in ways that you might need. And we focus particularly on M's and K's. So for those of you who are D's, sorry, we don't have specific services for you, although our website that Maria will share has universal resources that will be helpful for anybody. Again, the 4 areas we focus on are early intervention, early childhood special ed and related services. And a big part of what we do is also helping folks to secure federal grants that will fuel their program development or allow them to recruit scholars and have innovative programs in the ways that you all will be doing with your M's and K's. Now I'm going to turn it over to Maria, and she's going to highlight very specifically the universal resources that our center has available to support you in this process.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Maria Silva. I am one of the program directors here at the Dream Center. And today I want to share with you a little bit about the universal resources that we have that are available to support the grantees across the full life cycle of their OSEP awards, from planning and implementation. And we're also supporting them through reporting and compliance. So the Dream Center provides universal technical assistance that's available to everyone. And the main hub of this universal technical assistance resources is our Dream website. That's dreamtacenter.org. We also have resources on there related to our resource hub, which I'll go over in a little bit. You can also find access to some of our universal products that we have created related to helping grantees reporting their APR reporting, their performance measures, and different things like that. Also, some common pitfalls and solutions to help these new grantees when they're embarking on these new challenges and these new journeys. And we also offer video recordings from our YouTube channel, and these are meant to help provide this on-demand support to help grantees navigate management requirements with confidence. This is our beautiful Dream website. I'm very proud of it. It serves as the central hub of all the Dream Center resources, and it really reflects our mission of focusing on delivering resources, education, access, and mentorship to institutions of higher education and their partners. And our website is formatted so it's accessible through your tablet, your laptop, and even your mobile devices. Next, I'll share with you. So when new viewers come to the website, it'll be automatically prompted for them to subscribe to our newsletter. Yes, it is optional. However, we do like to stay in contact with anyone who subscribes to our website. So the newsletter provides them with a quarterly update of what's going on in the center. What are some things that we've accomplished? What are some new resources that are out there? What are some things that are available, webinars, trainings, or things that can really help grantees across their whole life cycle? It helps them stay up to date with upcoming trainings and also different reporting reminders and OSEP related updates. Our resource hub serves as a beautiful pocket of resources to support institutions of higher education. It is a universal resource. So when you connect with our website and you navigate your way to the resources, you'll be able to see the different options that we have. So the resource hub currently houses about 160 plus resources, and it continues to grow. If any of you have any amazing resources, feel free to share. And the resources are really cultivated and curated to focus around your program focus, and different types of resources. So when you access the resource hub, you can either look for resources with a keyword, or you can choose to look under specific program focus. So again, we focus on early intervention, early childhood, special education, and related services. But there's also availability for you to check for resources by types. So we have several different types of resources. We have data reports, publications, standards, faculty guides, grant management, information briefs. And our team really tries to identify resources that can either help you in supporting your scholars in these special education programs, but also help you in planning your courses, planning your syllabi, thinking about how to connect the data with practice and also sharing publications. So if any of you are thinking about embarking on another grant at some point, if another competition comes around, there's a lot of background information that is available to these different resources that are on the Resource Hub that can help you kind of identify key areas of need related to the data and also kind of come up with ideas that are best suited for grant proposals. We are continuing to develop resources that can really support grantees throughout their life cycle. And some of the resources that we recently developed that are more related to APR, which is what we're focused on today. We did create an APR planning checklist. It's meant to help grantees identify the things that they should make sure they do for this May 2026 APR submission. And we also created an OSEP performance reporting common errors and solutions. So common errors that are typical across different grantees. Even seasoned grantees have identified these as some errors that they encountered at some point, and then it provides you with the solutions. And all of the resources that we created at the Dream Center, they're created by our mentors, our advisory board members, our leadership team, and then they also go through peer review. So we have different professionals in the field review them to make sure that they are high quality, they are of usefulness to faculty at IHEs, and also that they are resourceful and they provide the information that they need and relevance. Next up is our YouTube channel. This is another key universal resource that's available to everyone. So on this YouTube channel, we have provided recordings of our previous webinars. Some of the webinars are walkthroughs, some of them are short videos from grantees explaining their experiences, and they're available to access at any time. You can subscribe and follow our page at Dream TA Center. But definitely it's a great resource when you have some questions or need some guidance in something, and these webinars can help you fill in those gaps. So as an example, two of our most popular videos of our recorded webinars are our G5 tutorial, where Dr. Liz Kramer goes over with viewers. She guides them through the process of submitting through the APR G5 platform. In the previous grantees that we supported, we have identified a need of how to go through the G5. It is a very finicky application. I know, as Sun Young had mentioned before, there could be maintenance issues, there could be outages. So you definitely want to make sure that you access it, that you have access to it, that you have login information, and submit your stuff ahead of time so that you're not at the very last minute scrambling because G5 is not being cooperative. But Dr. Kramer does give a lot of helpful tips and guides you through the G5 platform. It's one of our most popular videos to date. And also, we also have one on an APR webinar that we provided last year to the grantees that we were supporting. And it shares key components and requirements that are helpful to ensure those error-free APR submissions. And as always, we ask you guys to stay connected with the Dream Center. You can stay connected, follow us on various different social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, and also our YouTube channel. You can also reach us at support@dreamtacenter.org, or you can visit our website. I encourage you to explore it. I encourage you to connect with our newsletter and subscribe so you can stay up to date with any upcoming trainings or events that we have that we'll be sharing with you guys.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Kramer and Dr. Silva. We are very grateful for our partnership, and thank you so much for introducing your beautiful resources. Like Dr. Silva said, the G5 kind of step-by-step guidance we provided earlier that you have in your attachments that was developed by Rebecca. I watched their G5 webinar video done by Dr. Kramer. Like it's the same contents but in different format. So please take advantage of all these resources we're providing. It's in different formats and different ways of introducing things again. So please take advantage of all the resources we are providing. And again, please talk to your project officer, ask for feedback, and make continuous improvement. As next steps, we are planning additional support. So this is our first step. I don't know, later February or March, we're also going to have some office hours. So you can just come by, drop by with questions as you work on your APR. So that's coming. And this is all we prepared for today's webinar session. But I asked you all to save your questions at the, for the end. So this is your time now. If you have any questions, raise your hand, your virtual hand, or type in the chat. The due date is May 1st, 4:30 Eastern time. And you should, it's in the DCL as well, your colleague letter. Good question. Thank you. How much is considered a large available balance? So this sometimes changes year to year. I believe what's DCL say this year? Is it 70% of the budget? Can somebody help me? OSEP colleague?
Oh, what is the
Is it
threshold?
70% or 30%? Yeah,
Yeah, it's 70%.
70%. Thanks, Celia. But again, that's also in the DCL, so please read it. But good question. Thank you. What other questions?
And just a reminder, the large available balance is that that is going to require more explanation and probably more detailed budget breakdown and just a clear plan of how those funds are being used. But any carryover will still require an explanation, even if it's not considered a large available balance. So even a carryover is going to require an explanation.
Thanks, Celia. I believe May 1st this year is Friday, unless it's Monday. Let me look at my calendar to confirm. May 1st, 2026 is Friday. Yeah. Any other questions? Thanks, Maria. So check out Dream Resources and Common Errors and Solutions.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think
so,
for those of you who
Go
this
ahead.
may be their very first APR, is once again, we realize there's a lot of information shared across these the different APR resources. And I think it's just once again reemphasizing that message of contacting your project officer early, setting up a meeting, talking through those APR resources as needed, providing them with an early draft. And even if you're an experienced grantee and have done these before in the past, just because of changes and just how we know information is being looked at, there could be also specific feedback that'll be helpful to you as you are starting on your new grant and developing measures for those that your project officer will be helpful as a resource as well.
And if you don't have any other questions, if you do, please type in the chat. People ask us about the recording and the PowerPoint slide deck. The recording and the meeting materials, including the slide deck, will be posted on IDA website. So it's on the last page of the PowerPoint slides. But let me open it and then copy and paste in the chat. Bear with me for a moment. Okay, let me see. I lost my folder here. Okay, I'm gonna go here. Webinar. Okay. So it's opening, but a little bit slow.
Song Young, I got it. Just put it in there.
We can, I think it may be best if we send if we're able to, once we have the location on the website, we can send a follow-up email as well, to let people know where it can be found.
I put it in the chat. Hopefully people can see it.
I see, Tina. Yeah. Did we, Sun Young, are you still on? Oh, okay. If no one has any additional questions, please feel free to follow up with your project officer, and or you can reach out to Sun Young or me, Celia Rosenquist, at the Department of Ed of any specific questions related to the resources that were mentioned as part of this APR, and we can make sure that we get those to you. But I think we will conclude for the day, and we look forward to hearing from you and seeing you at later APR sessions, where we hope to be able to offer just an opportunity to answer some questions as they come up and continue to provide support as you're working on your APR. But thank you, everyone. Stay warm and enjoy the rest of your day.